Hi, I'm Mary Beth Temple. Welcome to Annie's Caring Crochet Kit Video Tutorial. Crochet along with me as we make this month's project together. To make the Forget-Me-Not lapghan, you're going to find in your kit 3 skeins of this sport weight acrylic yarn. You're also going to need a crochet hook, size H8 5mm or size needed to obtain gauge, and a tapestry needle to weave in your ends. We're going to follow a chart and alternate these solid blocks with these open spaces and make this really pretty lapghan. And while we're on the subject of crochet hooks, I wanted to point out, here, let's move this so you can see a little better, that I'm using a wooden hook. And the reason I'm doing that, you certainly don't have to, but I like the traction of the yarn on the wood. The yarn is very soft and fluffy, and I felt like with a metal hook I was going a little, it was a little slick and I was going too fast. And I also like this one has a pretty pointed head, which makes it easier for me to stitch with. So you don't have to use a wooden hook, but if you're having trouble with slippage, changing to a wooden hook might be the way to go. But let's get started with our first row. Now the first thing it says is chain 174, working in back bar of chain, extended double crochet in 4th chain from hook, extended double crochet in each remaining chain across, turn. So let's take a look and figure out what all those words mean. Now, when we learned to crochet, the first thing we learned is to chain. And most of us learned to go this way, to go into the front of the chain. And if you're confused about what's the front and what's the back, give it a little tug. The front is this side that has the V. So it looks like a column of V's. And if you're a knitter, it also looks like a column of stockinette stitch. Now the back or bump of the chain has these little bumps that stick up. So now I use this technique for every single crochet project that I do, regardless of whether the instructions tell me to or not. But if you work in the back bar or in the back bump of the chain, you get a neater edge and it has a little more elasticity, so it's less likely to pull in. And this is how it goes. But we're also going to learn this new stitch at the same time. We're going to learn the extended double crochet. So first thing I'm going to do is yarn over like I would for a regular double crochet. I'm going in the 4th chain from hook and I'm counting bumps or bars. I'm not counting through the front. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to insert my hook from to back under that bar. So I'm just going under one strand of the chain. I'm going to yarn over and draw up a loop. And so far it's like a regular double crochet. Here's the difference. Now I'm going to yarn over, draw through 1 loop on the hook, and I still have 3. Now I'm going to finish it like a regular double. Yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. So the extended double crochet gives you just a little bit of extra height, which is very nice for a soft afghan like this. Now we're going to continue across and do that in every back bar of the chain across. So let's do that again. We're going to yarn over. We're going to find the next back bar or bump. We're going to insert our hook just front to back under that bar. Yarn over, draw up a loop. Now we have 3. Yarn over, draw through 1. Now, finish like a regular double. Yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over, draw through 2. One more time for good measure. Yarn over back to front. Insert your hook under the back bar of the chain. Yarn over, draw up a loop. Yarn over, draw through 1. Yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over, draw through 2. So let's take a look. See how sort of lofty that stitch is? It's a little bit taller than a double, gives you nice height. So I'm going to continue across, and so will you, putting 1 extended double crochet in each chain across, remembering to work in the back bar. Then we're going to take a look at row 2. Here we are at the end of row 1. Again, remember that your piece is going to be much longer than mine. Now I'm turning my work and I'm looking at row 2. The first thing it says is beginning block, and if I look under special stitches, it tells me that the beginning block is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, extended double crochet in each of next 3 stitches. So this is my very first stitch. I'm not going to stitch in there because that chain 3 at the beginning of the row counts as the first extended double crochet unless otherwise stated, which it tells me in the pattern notes. So I'm going to extended double crochet in each of the next 3. So that's 1, I did tell you the yarn was the least little bit slippery. 2, and 3. So there is my beginning block. It has my chain 3 and my extended double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Now it says block, and looking under special stitches, just a regular block, not a beginning block, but a regular old block, says extended double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So we're going to do that. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now it says space, and the space, following along with the instructions under special stitches, says chain 2, 1, 2, skip next 2 stitches. So that's the last one I worked in. I'm going to skip this one and the next one. Extended double crochet in next extended double crochet. So that's this guy right here. So it says space and then block 27 times and extended double crochet in each of the last 3 extended double crochet. So I did my space. Now I'm going to do my block. That's an extended double crochet in each of the next 3. Two, 3. And then let's just do a little refresher on the space one more time. That's chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2, 1, 2, extended double crochet in the next one. So there's my beginning block, which was the chain, and then 1, 2, 3 extended double crochets. Here are 2 iterations of a regular block, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then here's my space, which was chain 2, skip 2, make a double crochet. So you're going to continue working the entire lapghan, following along with the chart. And all you're going to do is you're going to start with a beginning block, and then you're going to alternate blocks and spaces as directed in the chart. So let's take a closer look at the chart. Now you'll notice all the row numbers are on the right-hand side, and oftentimes when we're working from a chart, I'll tell you the right side numbers are on this side and the wrong side are on that side. But here's the thing with this particular chart. It's identical no matter which way you read it. So you can always read it from the right-hand side if that is what makes your life easy. That's certainly how I like to do it. And the color key is right there. If you have a filled in spot, it's a block. If you do not have a filled in spot, if it's open, then it's a space. And by glancing at the entirety of this pattern, I can see that every single row is going to begin with a beginning block. So that beginning block, which is the chain 3 and the 3 extended double crochets, only happens one time in a row, but it happens at the beginning of every row. One additional point I wanted to make was about how you address working a block over a space. There are 2 different ways to do it, and whichever way you do it works, but you do want to be internally consistent. And I'm going to show you the 2 samples that I have here so you can pick the one that works best for you. If you look at this, here, let me move this one out of the way. If you look at this sample right here, which is the actual lapghan that was used in the photograph, you can see that when they came to a block that was over a space, they worked the extended double crochet into the space. They worked around that chain 2. So that has a little more movement to it. This is great if you are, if you get your toe stuck in it while you're watching TV or whatever. The movement of the stitch means it's always going to, when you wash it, it's going to block out straight, etc. To me, I prefer this other way, which is how I did it when I made this little camera swatch. And you can see here, instead of working into the chain 2 space, working around that chain 2, I put 1 stitch in each of the 2 existing chains. So you see that there are 2 existing chains right here at the top of the space. So I worked 1 extended double crochet in that chain, and I worked 1 extended double crochet in that chain, and that's how I did my sample. Now, to me, this has less movement. To me, it's a tiny bit sturdier, but people have different opinions on that. Don't swear by that. But it also makes the spaces a little open, a little airier, because you don't have any of that yarn in that space, and it makes it a little more square. Now, neither of these are incorrect. Either of these techniques work, and it's one of those things when I'm stitching a new pattern, I always think about that. Did they mean for me to go into the chain, or did they mean for me to go into the chain space? But now you can see both variations and do whichever one works best for you, and know that either one is correct as long as you are internally consistent, by which I mean every time you come to a block that's over a space, you treat it the same way, and you don't go back and forth. So here we are at the end of my little swatch. Again, your piece is going to be so much bigger, but I've followed along with the chart, and the chart reads the same way from either direction. I have always begun each and every row with that beginning block, and then I followed along with the chart to alternate blocks and spaces as the pattern directs. And here's my little alternating, I don't know what I would call them. Well, I guess we're calling them forget-me-nots. They look like little flowers. But you see that they stagger, and then in subsequent iterations, they pop up on top of the ones 2 times below. This is a really easy pattern to sort of read and intuit as you get going, again, because it's so symmetrical. Now, at the end of row 75, it says do not turn. So here we are, we're at the end of row 75, and it says chain 1, single crochet, evenly spaced around, working 3 single crochet in each corner. Now you have a couple of different options here. And single crocheting evenly spaced is more of an art than a science. I usually do 2 single crochets per double crochet, but this is an extended, so maybe I need 3. And what you want to do is figure out where it makes the most sense for you to put your single crochets, and then do that consistently. all the way around. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to put 1 single crochet there. Now that is a corner, so I have to remember when I finish my round, I'm going to put 2 extra single crochets in there because I need 3 on each corner. Now you could just work around the post of the stitch. I personally think that can look a little messy. It sort of makes that stitch pull out and make the edging not so nice. But again, whatever you do, as long as you're internally consistent, it will be fine. But I like to sort of work into the stitch. So I'm going to find a couple of threads to go under here. Here's 1 single crochet. And then I'm going to go to the bottom half of the stitch and go under a couple threads here. And there's my second one. So technically I've done 3 for the height of each extended double. So I'm going to put 1 here. I'm going to put 1 here. And I'm going to put 1 here. So for me, that's how I'm going to try and figure it out. Now there's a couple things I want to talk about this edging. The first thing is what you really want it to do is lay flat. If it's pulling too tight, if it's super tight and the work is sort of drawing in and not laying nicely, you don't have enough single crochets in your edging. You're probably going to want to go back, rip a few sections out and put some more single crochets in there so the fabric has enough room to breathe and lay flat. If it goes the other way, if it's stretched out or maybe it looks a little roughly, you probably have too many single crochets in there. And again, you're going to rip back until it lays flat and try again working fewer single crochets along the edge of each stitch. So you're going to go all the way around and join at the very beginning. And again, remember, you're going to put 3 single crochets in each corner. And once again, the whole reason for that is to keep things laying flat. I wanted to take a minute and point out how nice and even the bottom edge of this lapghan is. That is the opposite edge of the foundation chain. So because we worked in the back bar, we have the other 2 legs of the chain sort of hanging out here, ready for us to stitch into. So when you're stitching across the bottom, but also across the top, it looks like you're just stitching into the top of the stitch. But this is the reason that we are so focused on having you work in the back bar, because it gives you this nice edge to work into, and you can see it's not drawing in, it's not pulling, it's the same gauge as the rest of the stitches. Coming up on the end of round 1, and remember I said I wanted to put 2 more stitches right there because there was 1 in there already. I'm putting 3 would give me my corner. And then it says join in first single crochet. So I'm going to go to that first single crochet, put my hook in there, and join it with a slip stitch, which is when I yarn over and bring it through the stitch and also the loop on my hook. So here is my little edging. Let's see, there's my little corner with my 3 stitches so that it lays nice and flat. And I've gone all the way around. For the second round, it says chain 1, slip stitch in next stitch, chain 1. So I'm going into the next stitch, working that slip stitch. So again, it's yarn over and I'm bringing it through the work and also through the loop on my hook, chain 1. And we're going to do that all the way around. Slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 1. Slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 1. And we're going to do that all the way around the lapghan, ending with a slip stitch in the first stitch. And that's just going to give me this little bit of a detail on the edge just to make it nice. And that slip stitch is going to hold the edging in place so that it doesn't stretch out or get damaged with wear. It's just going to give me that little bit of delicate edging to it. After that, all I have to do is block lightly and weave in my ends, and I'm all finished with the Forget Me Not lapghan.
hope you enjoyed stitching this project with me. Remember, you can watch this video as many times as you want, and if you need additional pointers, you can go to the Annie's Online Stitch Guide. Until next time, happy stitching!